My son is currently 19 years old. His name is Brandon. Looking at him at first glance, you would never know that there's anything wrong or anything out of whack with him. However, at times he could flap his hands, he could rock back and forth. The big thing, he paces all the time. He's always on the move. He never stops moving. He will walk, he will run, he will take off skipping from time to time. He has a lot of behaviors where he will flap his hands when he gets very excited. He will scream or screech. A few years ago, he screamed constantly. He never would stop screaming. He screamed all day long, very high decibel, high-pitched screams. The only time he was ever quiet was when he was sleeping. Right now, that behavior has corrected itself, and he doesn't scream as much as he used to. However, he still does run away from time to time. It's called, the fancy word for it is elopement behavior. However, I just say he runs away. He also has a stim behavior where he carries a shoe with him everywhere he goes, and he spins the shoelaces on the shoe, where he'll wind them, pull them apart, watch the shoe spin. So he's never without his shoe. We haven't had to call the police. We've found him when he's run away. It's usually in the neighborhood. He was a creature of habit, so we'd always go to the same spot when he would run away. But he would do things like jump fences, end up in other neighbors' yards, on their trampolines, on their swing sets, on their pool decks. He also tried to go into someone's house. He would end up on their deck, and he would try and get in their patio door. Luckily, all of our neighbors knew him. So they had our phone number. We had actually put flyers out in our neighborhood to all of our neighbors, letting them know with his picture, this is Brandon, this is his behavior, here's my phone number, here's my cell phone number. If you see him and I'm not immediately behind him, please call me, and we will come and get him. So all the neighbors knew him and knew of his behaviors, and whenever he would take off, there was someone always right behind him, either myself or my husband or his respite aide. And in any instance where he got away from us, someone would call right away. So luckily, we never had to call. The thing about autism is no two people are alike. Everyone is different. Everyone presents different behaviors or different symptoms. Some are highly verbal, some are not verbal at all. My concern with calling the police would be them misinterpreting his behaviors. For instance, he cannot answer a question with an answer other than yes. You could ask him a question, where do you live? And he would go, where do you live? But there are certain cues that he understands that he's been taught. For instance, what's your address? And he's learned his address in a song. So he would actually sing the song with his address in the song, and that's how he would answer the question. If it was a question that needed a no, he wouldn't respond. So say, for instance, you asked him, what's your name? He would go, what's your name? And if he didn't understand what the cue was, he would just repeat everything back to you. If you're looking for a child that has autism, speak to the person in charge or the parent so that you could get a good idea of what this person's behaviors are like or how they would respond to a situation. Many of them do not like to be touched. They don't like to be approached in an aggressive manner. They need their space around them. They don't want people inside their personal space. So it's important for people to know that so that an outcome is favorable.